We got to go to the latest with Cam because the hype train for the Patriots has begun with the signing of Cam Newton. Pro Football Focus said that Cam single-handedly has made New England the favorites to win the AFC East. According to PFF, Cam is now the best quarterback in the division while still taking into consideration the uncertainty of his injuries. So, Shannon, do you agree with all of this?
Yes, I had the Patriots as a slight favorite in the division before Cam got there. So, obviously, Cam being the best quarterback in the division makes them, I believe, an overwhelming favorite. Skip, I don't trust Josh Allen. I believe the Dolphins are maybe a year or two away because they're a very young football team, and the Jets are the Jets. So for me, obviously, I believe it's going to come down probably between Buffalo and New England. But I trust Cam more than I trust Josh Allen. I trust Bill Belichick more than I trust Adam Gase, and I trust their defense. Even though I love Greg Williams, I know Greg is going to have them flying around. Once they get the situation resolved with Jamal Adams, Skip, we don't know how that's going to play out. Is he going to play this year? Is he going to get traded? So they'll fight to the very end. But from top to bottom, I just trust the Patriots more than I trust anybody else in that division. And what's going to happen, Skip, if you remember when Tom Brady was suspended for those four games, Josh McDaniels called a different game for Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett than he ever called for Tom Brady. He put those guys on the move. They moved the pocket more than Tom because those guys were more athletic. Well, this is the most athletic quarterback that he's ever coached. So I wouldn't be surprised if they moved the pocket a little more boots, more things of that nature to take advantage of Cam athleticism. They're gonna have to do some work on his footwork. Cam does not have the best footwork. That's why his completion percentage is not where it needs to be. That's why he's not a QBR darling. So those things, with all that being said, I still trust Cam. I still trust Coach Belichick. I trust the Patriots more than anybody else in that division.
By the way, quick point of order. Josh McDaniels did briefly get to coach Tim Tebow in Denver. So did he not qualify as an athletic? I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Are you saying Tim Tebow won?
I'm just throwing it out. But now back to the question at hand. So, Mr. Sharpe.
Yes.
Let me get this straight. The Buffalo Bills last season, people forget very quickly, went 10-6.
Yep.
The Buffalo Bills went down to Houston and played a playoff game.
Yeah.
They had all sewed up. I thought they had it in the bag. They blew it late. They let Deshaun out of that trap, and Deshaun beat them in overtime 22-19. By the way, Josh Allen, in his first ever playoff game in year number 2 in this league, played pretty well. He threw for 264. He ran for another 92 yards because he's a very athletic quarterback. Would you believe that Josh Allen last year scored the most rushing touchdowns of any quarterback in the National Football League? Is that possible?
Yeah.
It is, because he scored 9 to Lamar's 7. And we know what an MVP all-time great season Lamar had.
So you want
Josh Allen had 9
Oh, you
rushing
want him over Lamar?
I'm just saying, no, I don't. But you are underestimating just how good they were last year. And then what did they do in the offseason? They went out and added Stephon Diggs. We'll just go trade for the guy who had his career year last year for the Minnesota Vikings. You like that?
You know they got the Ward up there, right? Hey, he locking folks up.
Really?
Oh, give him a
All of a sudden, you've got John Brown and little Measly Beasley on top of Stephon Diggs. Are you kidding me?
Beasley only works good against you guys.
Okay. That team without Stephon Diggs came to Dallas and dismantled Dallas on Thanksgiving. Tore them apart like turkey legs. Just ripped it right off. Right?
Love it.
It was the worst beating that my team took all last year at home on the Thanksgiving afternoon stage that they usually own. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so meanwhile, Bill Belichick makes no significant upgrades or additions to what I think by anybody's account.
Addition by subtraction. He got rid of something.
Oh, he got rid of 2. Wait, you're right. He got rid of 2 goats. Not just 1 goat. He got rid of the goat quarterback and the goat tight end.
Yeah, the left and the low, Skip.
Okay, and all of a sudden, you add Cam Newton, and according to Pro Football Focus, that Cam will be the driving force. Yes, of a team that is now favored to be the playoff team out of the AFC East. Now, Pro Football Focus went on to say that they'll win only their projection is for 8.2 wins.
Man,
so I guess, well, that's what they said. That they even upgraded with Cam. They went from like 7.7 to 8.2.
Is that even possible?
I guess they're saying that 9 wins will win the playoff berth out of the AFC East. Okay, so now we're back to Cam Newton. I love Cam. I always have. I co-signed on Carolina's got to take him #1 overall. Always been a fan of his. And when Belichick went out and finally closed his eyes and plunged on Cam Newton on Sunday night, I said, that's a great move. It was a great, desperate move because I believe Bill Belichick starts looking at his roster saying, this has 4-12 written all over it with Jared Stidham starting game #1 in place of the GOAT in Foxborough. So I said, okay, that's a great idea. And yesterday I got a little carried away sitting right here in this chair. And I said, okay, I'll move the ceiling for wins for New England with Cam there from 4-12. I'll go all the way up 5 to 9-7. Then last night, I start looking at the schedule. And I brought this up to you because I had not looked back to research it, but I brought it up on the fly because if memory served yesterday on the show, I was thinking, doesn't New England face maybe the hardest schedule in pro football coming up this year? So I look it up. Yeah, it's the hardest based on last year's win-loss records in all of pro football. #1 most difficult schedule belongs to Cam Newton's new team. So I start looking at the schedule last night, and I dare you to look at it right now and show me 8 wins because I'm having a hard time finding 8 wins on this schedule because they get to open at home with Miami. I'll give you that one. Then they go to Seattle. I will not give you that one. Then on down the line, game #4, they go to Kansas City. I won't give you that one. Couple of more games. The 49ers visit Foxborough. Jimmy G returns. I just don't think they're better than the 49ers, and I don't think they can win that game. Then they go to Buffalo. I'm sorry, you can't win that game.
You're going to win it.
And then at Jets on Monday night is the next game. Okay, is it a win? Are you sure about that? Greg Williams flying at Cam? I don't know about that. Then here comes Baltimore to New England. You got that as a big dub? I don't think so. Then they go to Houston. That's no cakewalk against Deshaun down there. Deshaun plays great against Belichick, as has Cam in his past. And then near the end of the season, they go 2 Chargers and 2 Rams in 4 straight days where they'll just stay in L.A., I'm sure. But they play on Thursday Night Football against the Rams. I'll give you one of those, but I can't give you both of those. And then they have to go to Miami in early December. That was always a big problem for Tom Brady, let alone for Cam Newton.
Oh, Cam got this.
And then there's a big barn burner of a clash on Monday Night Football on December the 28th. Buffalo visits Foxborough. Listen, Sean McDermott has changed the culture of the Bills. It looks like a winning outfit to me. Now they're all for one for all. They seem to love to play with each other. They seem to be tight-knit, unified, a football team that they haven't ever been before. And it's getting more and more talented. They get to end with the Jets at home, and I will give you that one. But by that point, if they have 8 wins, you know what? I will say this for Cam Newton. It will be a minor miracle if he can win 9 games and lift this team into the playoffs. A minor miracle. If he does that, he will be right in the thick of the MVP race because that's how mediocre the rest of this roster still remains.
We're going to be comeback player of the year, too. But here's the thing that you mentioned that Buffalo last year was 10-6, and they went to the playoffs, and they had the Texans on the road.
They did.
On the road. But there's something that happened in 2020. Pardon my writing. It's called expectations.
It got smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Maybe they're coming down because Buffalo is starting to grow up, right?
I was running out of space.
Yes, I've seen that.
Skip, because now what you and a lot of people have done, you based 2020 on 2019's results. And you start all over again, right? So now we're going to go back to the drawing board because Josh Allen caught a lot of people off guard, Skip, with his athleticism. He hurt people with his legs. As you mentioned, the 92 rush yards he had in the playoff games. And a lot of times they would do what they did with Lamar Jackson, what they did at Cam in the past. They would just sweep and just roll the pocket, and he just take off running.
He's a big kid now. He's like 6'5", 40-ish?
Got to be
50.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's a big kid.
Yep.
So now you could pull a wide receiver, you got a running back, you're pulling an offensive lineman, and you got a big 6'5" guy in behind that. So he did a great job of running, and they did a great job. I think Brian Daboll is up there now running the offense. Skip, I get it. Buffalo is a sexy pick, and it's been a long time. And they finally look like they found a quarterback. They finally found a guy that can actually replace Jim Kelly. But Skip, I'm not taking them until someone actually defeats the New England Patriots, which hasn't happened in a very, very long time for that division. I can't say, well, Buffalo looked good last year, they're going to do it. I like Miami, but I just believe they're too young. They're not there yet. And the Jets, no.
Okay, but the Jets have 3 or 4 games in them where they're talented enough. Sam Darnold is just good enough.
Just not against us.
He's going to knock off some teams. He knocked off my team up there last year. Remember that?
Y'all wouldn't get very good.
Amari Cooper disappeared.
Whoa. No, y'all gave him $20 million. So I want to hear nothing about no disappearing.
Yeah.
And guess what? $60 million
I'll catch
disappearing.
one ball for 3 yards at Jets, and then I'll just say, you know what? I hurt. My leg hurts.
$100 million of Jerry money disappeared into his account because that's what they gave him.
That's what they gave him. Okay, back to business. So I will also give you this. Buffalo's schedule, because it's sort of similar to New England, it's tied for 5th in degree of difficulty based on last year's win-loss records, which sometimes can be misleading. But the reason they're tied for 5th is they get Kansas City at home. They get Seattle at home. They get the Chargers at home. They do not play Baltimore, and they do not have to play at Texans. So all of a sudden, yeah, it's a little bit easier.
You know what? Now that you mentioned all that, now I see why Tom Brady jumped ship. He didn't want that hard schedule.
You know what? I think there might have been something to that. What he didn't want is another year with that sorry receiving core that Belichick strapped him with last year.
Oh, now they sorry, huh?
Well, sorry, they were dead last in the league in separation. Remember the classic soundbite? We get to see Tom Brady on the bench yelling, somebody separate. Just somebody get open. Somebody win a route. Julian Edelman was so battered, broken down, beat up last year, he could not win anymore at age 33 going on 34.
But you hear Julian say, hey, can somebody throw me a better ball? And that's what Julian was saying on the side. Like, yeah, he wasn't mic'd up, though, but that's all right.
Is that right?
Yep.
So how did all of a sudden Mohamed Sanu, maybe off-season surgery, turn from bust, according to Shannon Sharpe, into brilliant next year? I don't get it. I don't see it.
Skip.
How did they upgrade their tight ends? They took 2 in the 3rd round, and you can't name them because nobody knew them in college football. Are they diamonds in the rough?
That's what Coach Belichick does. He finds those
that's what
diamonds.
He does. So one of those guys is going to just rise and shine and become the next Gronkowski or even the next Greg Olsen. Stop it. No, not going to happen. Cam Newton's going to get about 4 games into this schedule and say, where am I? What is happening? Where are my Panthers? I need somebody. Where's a Steve Smith? Is Steve out there?
Nope.
Can somebody help me here?
No, there's not a Steve Smith.
Where's
There's
Kelvin
not a Greg
Benjamin?
Olsen.
Where's somebody?
But he look to the sideline and you see that guy with the hoodie on, with the cutoff sleeves.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Who's getting exposed?
He's gonna be.
Yeah.
There's something about Coach Belichick that seems to bring a calm over his team.
Really?
They don't get too high. They don't get too low. They don't let the emotion of the ball game overwhelm them. So they realize they're going to be in every ball game because they're still going to play lights out defense.
Okay, so help me out here.
Yeah.
Down the stretch, final 8 games, starting with the night at Baltimore and Sunday Night Football when they got trounced, they got bum rushed, they got bamboozled, they got humiliated on Sunday Night Football. That defense fell apart thanks to Lamar and company.
Yeah.
From that point on, they struggled mightily. They were as ineffective down the stretch as they were all-time dominant over the first 8
How about your
games.
offense? Your offense?
Okay, wait, no, we got to do defense.
Okay.
Did Bill go out and say, I need him, and we're going to upgrade in the draft with him, and him?
No.
Did he do that?
No.
There's not one significant upgrade, and it felt like a mass exodus because all of a sudden I look up and there's no more Kyle Van Noy. He's gone, and Jamie Collins is gone, and Danny Shelton's gone, and Landon Roberts is gone, and Duron Harmon is gone from this defense that wasn't that great down the stretch last.
You do realize like 2 of those 3 guys have played other places and never enjoyed the level of success at those places.
Okay.
That
I'm just saying, I give you Stephon Gilmore. I give you lockdown, lock-up corner. I give you that. I'll give you the McCourty. I'll give you one of the McCourties anyway. That's fine. Your back 4 can be very good, but your front 7 is mediocre at best.
But it's been that way.
Okay, and I'm going to remind you, Dante Scarnecchia retired one time before. Remember, was it 20... What year was that?
2014, because they lost to the Broncos in 15 and he came back.
That's when it was. And he came back because he can work miracles with the offensive line. It's just a bunch of sort of cogs. It's a bunch of no-name guys. They just slide in.
Yes.
It's an Andrews back at center this year who came from nowhere, Georgia, look, where you just say, where did he come from? Oh, he's really good. And they missed him last year.
Then we got Tooney?
Yeah, they put the tag on Tooney.
Yeah, we got him.
But they could not put the tag on Dante Scarnecchia, maybe the greatest offensive line coach ever, because he just retired for good. He is out. And Cam's going to say, where is my protection? I got beat up enough in Carolina.
Well, he can run. He can get out of harm's way, unlike somebody else.
That brings me to Pro Football Focus's point. Why are they giving Cam the driving force edge? Because their point is that he can make more plays than Tom Brady could last year because he can do it with his physicality. He's another. What do we give Cam? About the same size as Josh Allen, 6'5", 250?
Yeah, I think he's lost some weight. Cam is a full vegan now, so he's probably 240-ish.
Okay, 240-ish. But how did he beat Belichick twice before? Once at home back in 2013 and then in Foxborough in 2017. Just he overwhelmed them with his sheer physical force. He can run.
They couldn't get him down.
They couldn't get him down because he will run over linebackers. He will impose his playmaking will on your defense. Over 4 quarters, he is difficult to deal with to the point you cannot control him. Okay, so now, have we seen that guy over the last 4 years? I'm talking about this guy, Superman. No, we really haven't seen him.
We haven't seen him, Skip. We've seen him stretches. We see a game here, 2 games there.
We did.
But we haven't seen what we saw in 2015.
We have not.
Over the entire...
Okay, so just for the record, and again, I remain a Cam fan, but in his last, over those 4 years, that'd be 46 starts because he was beat up. They were beat up also. He went 23-23 as the starter over the last 4 years. His QBR was 44 over 4 years, which is below the 50 average, 0 to 100. And his completion percentage, which has never been great, was 60%.
Yeah.
That ranked 44th of qualified quarterbacks over that 4-year span. He's not that guy.
No.
So while Tom Brady thrived, became the GOAT by no negative plays, Cam would make huge positive plays, but he would have some negative plays because if you're going to take those kind of risks, you're going to have some negative plays.
He's going to have, and that's what he's going to have to cut down on, Skip. He can't turn the ball over because, as you mentioned, it's not like they're littered with talent on the offensive side.
Nope.
So they're not like, say, a Kansas City or a Baltimore, Skip. They just have that offensive talent that they can just, dig out of a 14-point deficit. So they're going to have to play it close to the vest. He can't turn the ball over like he did in Carolina. And they're going to stress that because I believe they're going to try and run the football. Because, Skip, if you look at the Patriots, when they had success over the last couple of years, they were able to run the football, Tom Brady play action off of that, push the ball down the field, find Julian Edelman and these running backs out of the backfield wide open. So if you can run the football, you can take full advantage of what Cam can really do really well, which is play action and still get outside of the pocket.
And if he feels like, I got to make more plays because we're not that good, is he going to be able, I'm not wishing this on anybody, I'm going to knock on wood for him right here, but can he stay healthy if he has to keep playing that way? He had surgery on his shoulder. He just had surgery on his foot. We talked on the show about he died for the cause, quote unquote, in Carolina.
He did.
He won a lot of games with his physicality, which added up. It took a toll on his body. He's 31 years old, but he's played 9 hard years. No quarterback over the last 9 years has taken remotely as many hits as Cam Newton.
Yeah, you'd be surprised to find many running backs.
That is correct. You know what? That is correct. I'm with you. So can you just step in? Is he fresh enough since he hasn't played that much of late?
Right.
Maybe, but you're asking a lot of a quarterback who's going to step in the system that is the complete opposite, into the Patriot way.
Right.
Into the mindset that he doesn't know.
It's going to take a different mindset, but I believe, Skip, they will stress to him that no one plays outside of the system. And what made Brady so great is that he stayed within the system.
Okay.
He stayed within himself. But I think it's a lot easier, Skip, when you don't have the athleticism like a Lamar Jackson and a Cam Newton to get outside of the pocket and go 50 yards for a touchdown.
I got that. But what Cam is he has a huge ego, which is why he's Cam Newton. And we're going to talk more about this later in the show. But because he has some prima donna in him, and I'm not criticizing, I'm saying this in a great way. It's part of who he was. he steps on the football field and has supreme athletic arrogance. I told you Kyler Murray is like that in a miniature version. But these two step on the field, and it's like you can just see in their body language, I am the best player on this field, and I'm about to show you, you that I'm better than all of you. The point is, will that work with Bill Belichick? Will it work? How long will it take before these two clash? Because Cam's been 9 years in this league in a totally different system and mindset. So you tell me, will it be 5 minutes into the first camp practice that they have it out? Because they might, because Belichick will be all over him because he's all over everybody.
Skip, I think the thing is that when you've been at a place a long period of time, and so let me take from my experience. I was 10 years in Denver before I went to Baltimore in 2000. And the things that sometimes you have to swallow your pride, because sometimes the things that they would say there, you wouldn't take at the other place. But considering that they don't know you as well as they did in the other place. And so you're like, okay, you know, just let that roll.
But you went from a tough coach in Shanahan to a not so tough coach in Billick, right?
Yeah, he's going to the opposite.
Yes.
Which is harder, because, Skip, it's easier to go from hard to easy as opposed to easy to hard.
Okay. So Tom Brady took it for 20 years because his father taught him, you do what that coach says. He said, okay, I swallow it. He reams me out in film sessions. He reams me out in practices. I'm going to take it. I'm going to show the rest of the guys it's okay because he reams everybody. Bill Belichick prides himself on no one is bigger than we are. So if you screw up in practice, you will hear about it from me, even if you are Tom Brady, the GOAT.
And
I don't
the coaches get it too.
Okay? And the coaches get it.
Yes.
Okay? So how long will Cam be able to just last under that? I don't know.
It's difficult because, Skip, it was easy for Tom because that was the only way Tom knew to be coached. Because Tom came in as a rookie, Coach Belichick was already there. So he laid the ground rules. Imagine Tom Brady being 10 years into his career, and then all of a sudden getting Coach Belichick, a guy that's driving you like that. It's a lot different, Skip. It's hard to go from a situation where you got a coach that's a player-friendly coach, and he treats the quarterback one way, treats all the other players a different way. And then all of a sudden, he gives Coach Belichick that, nah, you ain't different. You just like the 53rd guy.
Okay, and I'm going to end with this. Cam Newton got a great opportunity, but it's a double-edged sword because he is replacing, by far, the most beloved athlete in the history of Boston, Massachusetts. Am I right about that?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
You step into those winged cleats. You better be great because if you're not, they will let you hear about it, social media or just boo birds, right? So I'm happy for Cam. I congratulate him, and I also wish him good luck because he's going to need it.
Yes, he has the greatest reward, but he also has a lot of risk involved too because of what you mentioned. Who he's replacing, and the expectations. Don't think just because Tom Brady is gone, those fans expect anything less than getting to the playoffs and contending for a Super Bowl. That's what they've become accustomed to. And so Cam, if he can be Cam Newton, I ain't worried.
Okay, you ain't worried.
I ain't worried.
Okay, so in the end,
comeback player of the year.
Okay, but the harder I looked at this schedule last night, I kept thinking, Cam, you better be really great here.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.